After returning from a business trip, I saw my girlfriend at someone else's birthday party. She was all dressed up, offering her blessings to that man, and even kissed him passionately amid the cheers. And that man? He's her childhood friend. She lives in my villa, drives my luxury car, and spends my money while being with another guy. At that moment, I realized that in my prime years, it's important to love myself first. Maria, from now on, you're still you and I'm still me, but sadly, there's no more us. I came back early from my business trip to surprise my girlfriend with a marriage proposal, but I ended up seeing her at another man's birthday party. Yet she told me she was working overtime. At that moment, a bad feeling surged through me. I was a mess inside, feeling like a lamb to the slaughter. Tom, sitting across from me, said, "Isn't that red-haired woman your girlfriend Maria in the next booth? Didn't she say she was working overtime? Working like this?" I didn't say anything. Tom is my childhood buddy, the type of friend you can share everything with. He once told me Maria acted too friendly with another guy, but I didn't believe him. It even caused some tension between us. Never thought I'd get proven wrong so fast. Then Tom added, "I told you Maria was trouble, but you wouldn't believe me. Now you've seen with your own eyes that she's cheating." I was visibly upset. The only thing separating the two booths was a bamboo curtain. I overheard the man saying, "Maria, I'm so happy you came to my birthday party and gave me such an expensive gift. I really love you. You're my everything, my honey. From now on, you're the only one I love." To which that soft, familiar voice replied, "Silly, of course. I'm here for your birthday. Nothing is more important. And I got this watch from abroad after a lot of effort. It's a limited edition." That voice, which I had listened to for 5 years, left no doubts. My girlfriend Maria was on the other side of the curtain. I let out a cold laugh. The watch she mentioned was one I had arranged to buy from Switzerland. She had said it was for her dad's upcoming birthday. Yet here she was, using my gift to impress another man. Foolishly, I had rushed home early, planning to surprise her and propose, looking forward to our future together. Never thought she'd be the one giving me a surprise instead. I learned about Simon 3 months ago. I went to Maria's company to pick her up for a late-night snack. She usually finished at 6, but that day, she came out at 6:30, accompanied by a man I didn't know. They were chatting and laughing. Typically, she liked sitting in the front seat because she gets car sick, but this time she happily sat in the back with him. She explained, "Babe, this is my childhood friend Simon. He just moved here and isn't too familiar yet, so I'm sitting with him to keep him company." I thought my girlfriend was really considerate at that moment. We went for a hot pot meal, which she usually orders mild because she can't handle spicy food. She even dislikes cilantro, so I usually avoided it when ordering. But this time, she happily ordered a whole plate of it. I asked, "I thought you didn't like cilantro?" She playfully pulled my arm and said, "Oh, it's fine to eat it occasionally. It makes the hot pot taste better." I didn't think much of it then. The entire time, she and Simon seemed to have endless things to talk about, sharing food with each other too. When it was time to pay, the server came over and said, "Sir, you and your sister and brother-in-law look so happy together." For a moment, the air turned awkward. My hand hovered awkwardly with the bill, as my girlfriend laughed it off, explaining, "Sorry, you got it wrong. This is my boyfriend." The server looked at us and quickly apologized before making a swift exit. After that, whenever Maria and I went on a date, Simon was always with us, whether eating or watching movies. I brought it up with her, but she called me petty. The last time, at 1 a.m., my girlfriend suddenly told me she needed tampons. I went out to buy some but realized I had grabbed her phone by mistake. Both our phones were the latest models, just different colors, with identical screen and payment passwords. While checking out, her phone lit up with a message from a secondary app. "Honey, I love the Chanel perfume you bought me. You should try it too." I was puzzled since the name was unfamiliar and she never used a secondary app. When I tried unlocking it, I found out she had changed the password. I put the items back, leaving the store to the cashier's confusion. When I got home, Maria didn't mind that I was empty-handed. She just comforted me. "Did the stores close?" "It's all right. "Babe, I found some I hadn't used." Her smile was beautiful, charming. But now, it only filled me with unease. I felt she was hiding something. I said nothing, handed her the phone back, and mentioned the password change. Her smile wavered briefly, but then she softly explained, "Sorry, babe. I meant to tell you. My nephew was playing with my phone while I was home. I changed the password to keep him from buying stuff and forgot to tell you." I simply replied with a muted aha. That night I couldn't sleep. Maria and I started dating when we were freshmen. I was a year ahead, studying finance, while she was the freshman under my wing. On freshman day, I was recruiting for the debate club, and despite turning down others, she walked right up to me, determined to join. She's really eloquent and has strong expertise. In debates, she's always quick to think on her feet, leaving the opposition speechless. She truly shines in the arena. Both of us have gentle personalities and we're from the same department, so we quickly became inseparable. We discussed projects together and hit the library a lot. On our days off, we did volunteer work and played video games to blow off steam when stressed. We both love gaming, but there was a time when we played together, and she kept losing, ending up with a score of 0-7. Teammates couldn't help criticizing her, and the opponents taunted her too. She complained to me, voice trembling, which was the first time she showed vulnerability like that. From then on, gaming together at night became our routine, often chatting late into the night, smiling without realizing it. Spiritually, I felt fulfilled, and it really took the pressure off. On the day I confessed, I was standing in front of her with roses, earnestly expressing my feelings and love. I asked, "Would you like to be my girlfriend?" As time passed, I felt her love in her actions, even though she rarely said it directly. By the 6th month together, she had a dispute with her roommate, so I rented her an apartment off campus. I mentioned wanting Sichuan cuisine, and she promised to learn and cook it for me. I thought she was just humoring me, but she was genuinely trying to improve her cooking skills. Many of her promises were being fulfilled. As time went on, I fell more in love with her. She was so wonderful, so pure. Back then, I felt as though I had the whole world. Romantic, brave, determined, sincere. It was like everything was wrapped in pink bubbles. On my graduation day, she hugged me tight, expressing how much she loved and needed me, saying she wanted to be with me forever, marry, and have kids. Past memories played like a movie in my mind. I couldn't imagine when such a fervent love started to fill with lies. Sometimes promises feel like a con, a story told to a fool, and only the fool believes. I took a shot of vodka that was sitting in front of me, and the alcohol made me feel a bit clearer. Next door, a birthday party was going strong. Tom, looking at my state, scolded angrily, "Seriously, man, why are you being such a wimp? Why give any respect to a woman like her? Look, I'm disappointed in you." I forced a bitter smile and got up from the table. Tom followed, stomping in exasperation. "So what's your plan? You can't just keep paying and taking care of her while she has some other guy, right?" In the car, I didn't reply. I just pulled my phone from my coat pocket and messaged Maria, asking if she was free that night. Her response came quickly, "Sorry, Johnny. I've been swamped lately, no time to hang out. Once I get my bonus, I'll make it up to you, I promise." Seeing her message, I laughed at myself. How stupid, getting so easily played by a woman. Like a moth to a flame, knowing I'd get burned but still diving in. I remember clearly telling her from the beginning how I hated deceit, but she did it anyway. Every lie, she tried hard to show she didn't need me. The car pulled up at the apartment I bought Maria. She'd said taking the subway was inconvenient, and she didn't want to drive, so I got her a place near work. Before closing the car door, I calmly told Tom, "I'm not a fool. Just wait and see." I only knew the wind was strong that day. Returning to the apartment, I quietly sat on the couch, surrounded by memories, both happy and sad. I clearly remember her cooking a spread of Sichuan dishes for my birthday, even learning how to bake a cake just for me. Her success at work and promotion were celebrated here too. She loved traveling, and the walls were decorated with photos and tickets from all the cities we'd visited. There was so much, too much, for me to believe she could just stop loving so easily. I messaged her, Would you be happy if I said I came back early? Maria quickly called, and I answered, clinging to one last hope. If she said she's happy and wanted to see me, I could pretend I saw nothing, keep living as we were. But she didn't. Her words poured cold water all over me. Sweetie, don't scare me. I've got to work late today. It's busy times at work, you know? I don't want to always be the one you give everything to. It makes me feel guilty. Her voice was laced with both grievance and tenderness, yet I could vaguely hear the noise on her side. Indeed, even now, she was lying. Maybe they had been seeing each other for a while, and I was just clueless. I let out a slight chuckle. I've got meetings here too. Clients are quite a hassle. Might be a few more days before I return. There was a brief pause. Then she replied, joy apparent in her voice. All right, keep working hard so you can bring me home. But don't overwork yourself, okay? I miss you. Believe me, once I'm done being busy, I'll be all yours. Didn't we say we'd travel to the plateau? So, just have faith. I'm working on our future. Listening to her, I paused. There was a time I might have been thrilled, staying up all night eager to see her. But now, I just felt sick, realizing she likely told both me and him the same things. Suddenly, I remembered a video I saw on a short video app. It said having a fly in your food isn't gross. What's gross is seeing it. If I didn't see it, I'd eat just fine. It's like in love, you can do a lot of things that wrong me, just don't let me know. That night, I was sitting in the car waiting for her to come back. Until midnight, a woman in a white floral dress came down the street with a drunk man. It was late and not many people were around. Right away, I recognized my girlfriend, Maria. And the guy wasn't just anyone, it was her childhood friend. From the car, I watched them being all affectionate. Their familiarity made it seem like this wasn't new. As they got closer, I could hear their conversation clearly. Simon kissed her cheek and said, how long are we going to be sneaking around like this? Aren't you scared Johnny will find out? I wanted to know that too. Maria was being all lovey-dovey with her lover in public. Wasn't she scared I'd find out? The next moment, she confidently smiled. He's such a fool. He'll never know. He's just a rich bookworm to me, like an ATM. His family isn't easy to get along with either. I never planned to marry him and make my life hard. I bet he won't leave me, he loves me too much. Every word fell right into my ears. In that moment, it felt like I never even knew Maria. I couldn't understand her. One second she seemed like she really loved me, the next like she never did. I finally believed love can be faked. If it wasn't, how would actors act? Turns out they've been seeing each other behind my back. It felt like my heart was being pierced by 1,000 arrows. I started the engine and drove off. The distance wasn't in miles, it was in my heart. Later, I chose silence. I stepped back, didn't want to deal with it anymore. I wanted to find my own happiness. The air in the bar was thick with alcohol, hormones, and perfume. People swayed in the pool without a care. I sat in a booth, silently downing drink after drink, until I finished a whole bottle of strong brandy. Tom, holding a glass of wine, sat next to me, casually asking, thought you didn't drink? Why the exception tonight? Got dumped? Yes, because Maria didn't like the smell of alcohol on me. So even at social events, I'd use a bad stomach as an excuse not to drink. I changed so much for her, despite my family opposing it. I never thought of giving up on her. I wanted to give her a home, but she only saw me as an ATM. Guess the saying's true, those not involved see clearer. Tom looked at me and got serious. Really? You're done with Maria? I just gave him a look, didn't say a word. My heart felt heavy, like I couldn't breathe. Tom got the hint, ditched his usual demeanor, and said seriously, man, ending it with her is the right move. I always thought she wasn't good news. I raised an eyebrow, why? Tom sighed, pulling out a bunch of photos in front of me. All of Maria being cozy with different guys. Not just her childhood friend, but her boss, her coworkers. Tom came prepared, while I was just foolishly in the dark. I told you, Maria's full of lies. Even her family's fake. That guy at her birthday wasn't just a friend. He was her lover. It was all an act. That hit me like a bolt of lightning. The 2 years after graduation, we were long distance, because my family didn't want us together. I was eager to prove myself, went out to start a business. Despite being busy, I'd fly back once a month. How laughable. I told the realtor to sell her apartment, froze all her supplementary cards. She's probably still basking in her deceitful freedom, unaware of what's happening. A week after our breakup, she came to my office, but security stopped her at the door. I watched her from a place out of her sight, observing her every move. She called and texted me, asking why her cards were stopped, why the apartment was sold. Not far off, she was yelling at the security guards. "Don't you know who I am? I'm your boss's girlfriend. How dare you stop me?" She was cussing them out with an ugly, arrogant face. In that moment, I realized she hadn't changed. She was always this way, just hid it well, and I was too foolish to see it. The security guards shared a look and smirked. "Girl, are you delusional? Loads of people claim to be the boss's girlfriend every day. How come you're the only one who believes it? Yeah, girl, you're young. Don't make trouble for us. Leave, the boss's fiancé will be here soon, and she won't like seeing you." Maria looked utterly shocked. She stammered, "What did you say? Repeat what you just said." "Fiancé? I'm his fiancé." Her yelling attracted a lot of attention. If she wanted to make a scene, I wasn't afraid of embarrassment. I was ready to see it through. Suddenly, I saw a tall figure, Candy. Candy, Tom, and I grew up together in the neighborhood. We were even betrothed as kids by our families. If it weren't for Maria, I wouldn't have bro Tom that promise. Candy saw me and smiled. I immediately got what she meant. She'd forgiven me. Sure, but she couldn't tolerate any nonsense. Maria was the trouble I needed to handle now. I briskly headed towards Candy. Just as I was about to reach her, Maria popped up out of nowhere, blocking my view. She wrapped her arms around my waist and snuggled against my chest. Her eyes were lit with surprise. "Johnny, you finally agreed to see me. I thought you didn't love me anymore. Baby, those two security guards were rude to me and made me really mad. You should fire them to make me feel better." I frowned. Maria's proximity honestly made me feel queasy. I pulled her away with disdain. While she was caught off guard, I wrapped my arm around Candy's waist. Feeling apologetic, I said, "Sorry you had to see that." I felt guilty towards Candy since she had confessed to me before, but I turned her down, saying we were too familiar. She went abroad for college after that, only getting back recently. Tom and I had picked her up from the airport just a couple days ago. She looked as beautiful as ever, reminding me of that saying, "A graceful lady is what a gentleman seeks." Our families had dinner yesterday and set the date for our engagement. Having her back with me was a relief. Candy smiled sweetly. "It's okay, Johnny. I won't sweat the small stuff." Her demeanor was graceful and elegant, such a stark contrast to Maria's. "Johnny," Maria exclaimed, "who is she? Why is everyone saying she's your fiancé? What am I to you? How could you do this to me? What did I do wrong? Tell me, I'm really hurt." I chuckled with a hint of sarcasm, as if I'd heard the most ridiculous joke ever. Although her voice was sweet and soft, I could see her face was aggressive and harsh. Did she really think I was a fool? A basic drama queen like Maria could be quite distracting. Maria clung to my arm, tears in her eyes, pleading, "Johnny, is there some misunderstanding? Did she say something to you? You've got to believe me. I love you." My mood grew darker, patience running thin. I looked at her with open mockery and scorn. "You done talking yet? Maria, do you really believe you're some sort of fairy princess? Thinking everyone's revolving around you?" I threw some photos from my pocket at her face. "Open your eyes and take a good look." The color drained from Maria's face. Her legs seemed to give out, and she slumped to the floor. Sweating and shaking, she kept murmuring, "Don't look, don't look." I watched her pitiful state without any sympathy. She had brought this on herself. She didn't want my genuine feelings? Then no one would get them. The tragic past was a blade cutting through my present. It told me there was no turning back. I waved the security over, gesturing for them to take Maria out. From now on, she's not to step foot into this building ever again. If she gets in, you guys are out of a job. The security staff responded in unison. As I was about to leave with Candy, Maria wrapped herself around my leg, sobbing, "Johnny, I'm sorry. I beg you. Forgive me just this once. I won't make the same mistake again. Maria, there's someone new. Don't badmouth me. I wasn't unfair to you, you walked away first." With that, Maria was escorted out by security. If realizing you've lost something makes you value it, then I knew I picked wrong, I judged poorly. I wasn't stingy with chances. She just didn't take them, so I had no regrets. The beauty of memories lies in not being able to go back. Liking someone doesn't always need to end up with a happy ending. After our confrontation, Maria tried reaching out multiple times, bringing me dumplings, pastries, treats, sending people to bring them to me, trying all sorts of ways to win me back. Not wanting to waste them, I gave them to the maintenance crew. She even switched phone numbers repeatedly to contact me. Eventually, she figured out my home address, stopped showing up at work, and camped outside my door like some kind of gatekeeper. One day after work, there she was again, standing in front of my car, arms wide open. She looked worn, unlike her once polished self. Her hair was messy, and she appeared unkempt. Rolling down the window, I saw her surrounded by heaps of luggage. Guess she had nowhere else to go and came to me as a last resort. I laughed to myself, why not crash with her fling instead? As I rolled down the window, she ran over, her dirty face up close to mine, causing me to wrinkle my nose in disdain. She blocked the window from rolling up with her hand. "Maria, what do you want? Haven't you had enough?" "Johnny, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I promise I won't do anything to hurt you again. I swear. I know you love me, you still care about me. Let's stay together, please? I've lost my job, can't use my cards anymore. Got nowhere else to go. Just you, Johnny." I listened to her sob story, feeling nothing inside. I let out a cold laugh. "Couldn't find your way in the world. Now you think of me as your safety net? How could you, Maria?" "Johnny, I just committed a mistake every woman might make, that men do too, so why dwell on it? How can you be so cold to me? After all these years together, even if we break up, you owe me compensation. I'm not asking for much, a house and $200,000. Meet my terms and I'll stop bothering you." Maria stopped pretending. She lashed out at me without a hint of sweetness. This was her true self. I didn't want to argue with her, didn't care if she was hurt, and told the assistant to drive, no matter how crazy she went in the back. When I'm busy, I hardly think about her. Candy and I set our wedding date for September 9th, which symbolizes forever. As it got closer, I found it odd that I hadn't heard or seen much of Maria. She hadn't come looking for me in a long while. With her personality, I knew she wouldn't just give up. And sure enough, I was right. At a business dinner, there she was. Maria was with the other party. She looked completely different. No longer sweet and innocent, but sexy and seductive. I was surprised. I thought she might leave town or go back home, not become someone's mistress. Maria noticed my shock and gave a self-satisfied smile. What she didn't know is that the guy she was with has some twisted tendencies, like liking to hurt young girls. He introduced her, grinning with his big yellow teeth. "Johnny, this is my new secretary." I sat there in my suit, untouched, realizing how far she had fallen. Candy noticed my distraction and squeezed my hand, smiling. "Sorry, this lady looks a lot like an old classmate of my fiancé." The man laughed loudly, pleased with himself. His laugh made me furious. I clenched my fist under the table, wishing I could punch him. We'd been rivals for years. He'd pulled all sorts of tricks. This meeting was just to mock me. At one time, I might have defended Maria's honor out of anger. But not now. Maria wasn't worth it. I regained my composure and held Candy's hand, replying with disdain. "Your taste is as sharp as ever," he joked, and then told Maria to pour me a drink to show sincerity. Maria gave me a glance, expecting me to intervene. Maybe? After a few seconds, she stood up, holding a glass. Her voice soft as she said, "Johnny, on behalf of my boss, I toast to you." She downed it in one go. Maria had stomach issues and had once ended up hospitalized. I used to hire help for her well-being. Now, even if she drank herself to death here, it wouldn't matter to me. The boss's face turned cold since I stayed quiet, and he pushed Maria to keep drinking until I was satisfied. 5 shots of liquor later, she was sweating and pale. I sighed, hating her, but not wanting this for her. Standing up with Candy, I said calmly, "If you're not serious about working with me, then forget it. Let's see how long your antics last." As we left, I heard things breaking inside. Maria was in trouble. 10 days later was our wedding. It was a beautiful sunny day. The ceremony was in a historic castle. Candy wore a white gown with a flowing veil. She walked toward me, an angel just for me. We exchanged vows, blessed by the church and cheered by family and friends. While serving drinks to elders, I noticed someone vaguely familiar in a corner. I wasn't sure, but it was Maria. She had grown so thin and looked much older than her 20s, wearing a black hat and mask. Did I still hate her? Not really. No matter who she became, back then she was beautiful, unreachable, and loved me genuinely. She was perfect in my eyes at 20. I have no regrets. My best is by my side now. By December, preparing for the new year, I went with my wife for a prenatal checkup. Passing by a garbage can, I saw a barefoot woman in a t-shirt looking for food. A middle-aged lady from a nearby flower shop tossed some leftovers, and the woman rushed over. The lady shook her head, saying, "Poor thing, just in her 20s, abandoned and mentally ill." I paused, recognizing the woman's face. It was Maria's. Surprised, I asked if she's always here. The lady confirmed, saying she used to be coherent, only reciting someone's name. I hadn't expected to meet her again like this. My wife gently suggested, "Honey, let's get her to a mental hospital. She needs help." I nodded. I remembered Tom mentioning Maria recently, but I was too caught up with my wedding to listen. Turned out he was right. Tom said she was crazy, and I didn't really believe it at the time. She thought she'd found a lifeline with that boss, but little did she know, once he had enough fun, he tossed her aside too. As for Simon, he's just a freeloader, a pretty boy living off someone else. I heard he took off the moment she ran out of money. To be accurate, she couldn't handle the blow, and it messed with her mind. Now, she's become kind of a crazy lady. Whenever she sees people, she calls out my name. Honestly, there were moments I felt a pang of emotion. Even though I don't have feelings for her anymore, I hate to see what she's become. I pulled out my phone and called my assistant. He told me that when he took her to the mental hospital, she was holding on to a crumpled piece of paper, refusing to let go. She only relaxed her grip after mentioning my name. That night, I unfolded the paper. Scribbled on it were these 2 twisted lines. "Dear, my beloved, my most cherished boy, stay happy every day. Take care of yourself. I want you to be safe and smooth in life." I tossed the paper into the trash bin. I felt a sense of release. I don't hate her anymore, and I'm no longer caught up in the drama between us. Maybe meeting her was already the best ending. Without sincerity, there's no need to dance around the issue.